party, you know, but I would have been in the cradle upstairs or something. Yeah. Okay. Well, look, I'm sorry to go on. No, it is quite important, and I hope I've given you some food for thought, Harry. We're looking to you as a country with our breath, you know, baited. There's so much at stake here. Don't just be fobbed off. You know, you've got to get your dad in charge to save the country from Brexit. Okay, right. I will, and let's keep in touch. Yeah, I'll try and you know, we'll talk anon, depending on how this goes. Good luck tomorrow. The forces of light are with you, sir. Thank you so much. Yeah, and do say hello to Megan. I think she's such a sweetie. If you ever want to come and visit me incognito in France, I can show you around the, you know, the Museum of the Muses, which I run here. Yeah, it's a centre for peace education. And, you know, it's actually the only museum in the world dedicated to the 9 muses. Yeah, the muses are, well, you know what the muses are, come on. Yeah, that's right. And bless you. Okay, well, it's an honour to talk to you. And your wife's name is Welsh, isn't it? The diminutive of Margaret, Megan, and that meant the pearl. Marguerite was the name of the pearl. Yeah. So you've got a pearl there. Look after her, and yeah, just stop Brexit. Okay. Okay. Thank you. Bless you. Yeah. Okay. Bye. Well, gosh. So you know, I've done my best, right? Am I wrong to interfere? No, I think I have a duty. I mean, I'm the Archdruid of Britain, for God's sake, trying to manifest a peaceful kingdom and a peaceful world. My country is in the process of breaking up. We're being sucked into wars. Foreign powers that want to destroy our country have infiltrated its security bastions to bring about Brexit. According to my profound analysis of the situation, and as I said at the beginning, the same forces also engineered 9/11. So there's a huge amount at stake. Obviously, I can't say all this to dear Harry. I mean, he's such a sweetie. I mean, I love his beard, by the way. It's great. That's a sign of defiance. I grew a beard when I lived in Canada. Okay, so let's see if he's got the nerve to actually, you know, call it like it is. And then we'll talk again next week. I'll be in London. So like I say, if you want to come and meet me, just email me, Facebook me, whatever, contact me, and I'm happy to have. I'm going to have like a surgery, a constitutional crisis surgery, from a Druid and philosophical perspective. What can we do about saving the country? I mean, I don't know if Harry's going to pull this off. If you can think of some other suggestions, then please let me know. The old guard are very, very strong, of course, and they're going on the assumption, no, nothing will change this. Tory party's the vehicle of Brexit. They've been captured, and that's it, you know. Not realising they're driving the car 100 miles an hour into the brick wall. So if you know how to shout out and you know, try and get the driver to change course, do so in your own way. Okay, shalom, blessings, peace on earth, and I was going to do one last thing, wasn't I? Yes, I want to share this final thing, because today, as a synchronicity, it's the 12th of January, and it's the day of this particular saint. You know, I always do saints of the day, as my students know. And today's saint is this amazing Anglo-Saxon guy called Benedict Biscop, who lived from 628 to 690. He was an Anglo-Saxon and founder of Jarrow Priory, born of a noble Northumbrian family, and my children are part Northumbrian. Sophie, whose birthday it is tomorrow, so, you know, hello Sophie. He was born of a noble Northumbrian family and was for a time a thane of King Oswin. And at the age of 25, he made the first of 5 trips to Rome, accompanying his friend St Wilfrid the Elder. Wilfrid was detained in Lyon and he went on to Rome. And when he came back to England, he was full of, fervour, enthusiasm to help the English church. He was a real Christian, and he loved Rome, like anyone that goes to Rome. You can't help love Rome. I mean, I've got a reader's ticket to the library. I'd be there now if I could. It's just, amazing. He then went for a second trip to Rome 12 years later with Alfred of Deira, a son of King Osman. And on this trip he met Acca and Wilfrid. And then on his return journey to England, he stopped at the little monastery at Lerins off the Mediterranean coast of Provence. And he was 2 years there studying spirituality, biblical studies. And from 665 to 667, he underwent a course of instruction, taking monastic vows, and he took the name of Benedict. Following 2 years in Lerins, he then went off again to Rome. Right? So he's moving as a continental-wide figure from cold old Northumberland. He's now in seventh heaven, moving around in the south of France and Italy, studying. Because to him, you see, Christianity is a European-wide phenomenon. This is the point I'm learning from this. At the third time, he was commissioned by the Pope to accompany Archbishop Theodore of Tarsus, who came from Tarsus in Turkey, where St Paul was from, right, the other end of the Mediterranean, who was coming to Canterbury to become Archbishop in 669. And on their return, Benedict was appointed abbot at the monastery in Canterbury, which he did for 2 years. Now, the thing about Benedict, why we are very similar, is he was a bibliophile. He assembled a huge library. On all his travels, wherever he went, he got books, which is what I've done. And he had already about 250 titles when he got back to Canterbury. Now, don't forget, in those days, books were handwritten, illustrated. Each one was priceless, worth thousands of hours of work. And his second trip to Rome had been a book-buying trip. I mean, can you just see him going through the bookshops of Rome in the 600s? Amazing. So the library included scriptures, classical studies, secular works, histories, etc. Now, when he got back to Northumberland in 674, he was granted by the king land for the purpose of building a monastery. So what did he do? Well, he went back to Europe, of course, and he got the masons capable of building a monastery in the pre-Romanesque style. And then he went for the fifth time to Rome in 679 to bring back books for the library, as well as things for the monastery, saintly relics, stonemasons, glaziers, and a grant from the Pope, Agatho, granting the monastery privileges, right? And he made 5 overseas voyages in order to stock his library. Then in 682, he appointed Easterwine as his coadjutor, and the king was so delighted at the success of what was happening in St Peter's in Canterbury that he gave him more land up in Jarrow and let him build a second monastery up there. So he erected a sister foundation, St Paul's, at Jarrow. And he appointed Culfrit as superior, who left Wearmouth with 20 monks to start the foundation at Jarrow. Now, what's so exciting, and this should be a movie, right, is one of his pupils, Benedict Biscop's pupils, was Bede, who later became probably one of the greatest saints of the Christian tradition in England and Britain, since between Columba and Anselm, I would say. Now, Bede was his pupil, right? And he writes that Benedict had brought builders and glass workers from France to erect the buildings in stone. And it was Benedict's idea to build a model monastery for England using stone, sharing his knowledge of the church that he discovered in Europe, where many monasteries are built with stone and proper glass and stuff. This was the first ecclesiastical building in England, well, actually in Britain, built in stone. I mean, what? That's crazy, but it's true. They were all built with wood before. This building by Benedict was the first actually in stone. And the use of glass was an absolute novelty for 7th century England. It eventually came to possess what was a huge library for the time, several hundred volumes. And it was here that Benedict's great student, Bede, wrote his famous history of the English-speaking peoples. Okay, pennies dropping here. Like Bede, our greatest historian and saint, he invented the chronological system we use. He adopted it into English, AD, BC. He was a great scholar who did commentaries on biblical books. And he also wrote the history of the English people and their Christianization. So he was, the first real scholar the English produced as a people. But he was a Europhile. He spoke Latin as well as Anglo-Saxon. It wasn't like he was anti-Anglo-Saxon. He loved it. He knew Anglo-Saxon, but he also knew English. He knew Latin, and that to me is the essence. That's the goodness, the good streak at the heart of the Anglo-Saxon people is Bede, Benedict, Biscop, and the rune masters that came off the boats. I'm not against the Anglo-Saxon wisdom. Like Alfred, I say, I take counsel from the elves. Elfred, the greatest king of England, the Anglo-Saxons, was one who took counsel from the elves, who are the gods. The gods, the elves, are the gods, right? Tolkien knew that. That's why he made them so important in the Lord of the Rings saga. I'm talking about rallying the elves to defend my country from the forces that are threatening it. And that's why I rang Prince Harry. Okay. And old Benedict Biscop and this library and Bede became world famous. The manuscripts there that have been copied in Jarrow became prized possessions throughout not just England, but the whole of Europe. Especially the Codex Amiatinus, the earliest surviving manuscript of the complete Bible in the Latin Vulgate version. The earliest surviving complete manuscript of the Bible in Latin was made here in this monastery. Now, as you know, I've been doing commentaries on the books of the Bible. I'm working on Genesis at the moment. It's endless. I'm going to be in the Heavenly Library eventually, having to finish it off. Anyway, dear old Benedict saw Bede into place, saw that he'd done good work, and then he died on the 12th of January in 690. And so I'm really honoured that thank you so much. I mean, I'm just a little walking in the footsteps of these great saints. I'm nobody, but these people are, without them we wouldn't be here. Their learning, their scholarship, and my country, England, wouldn't exist. We're in the hands of the saints, ultimately. That's what I believe as a Christian Druid. We're in the hands of the Magi and the saints, and not these fake politicians that tell lies to get power. Those are old-fashioned, they've got to go, and that's why I think Harry is our man. Right, okay, I've done my duty here, and I've hopefully shared a bit of Dharma. There's so much more that we could say, but if you want to talk to me in person, it's always easier to chat. Come and see me in London next week. From Sunday onwards, I'll be there for a few days. Just email me and we'll make an appointment. Okay, shalom, salam.